I've been building a lot of weird houses with Enchanted by Nature, and I guess by that I just mean houses that aren't really houses in the traditional sense of the word, because fairies don't really need all of the stuff in a normal house. They can fix all of their needs in that one tiny little fairy house object. They don't have a bladder need, so they don't need a toilet. They can bathe in plants, so you don't really need to have a shower or a bathtub. You can sleep in the fairy house, but you can also just sleep on the ground now, so you don't even really need to have a bed. So all of that and the different fairy abilities kind of got me thinking about the different types of lots that a fairy might live in. And this one is a little bit out there, but what if the entire house was floating? Fairies can basically teleport with that instantly fly button, so we could technically make a house that is completely inaccessible to human sims and instead just put the entire house up in the sky. I want to quickly show you what I mean, and I should warn you, it does work, but it can be a little bit annoying for gameplay. So normally to build a house, you'd put like a room on the ground floor, right? For us, we only want to have rooms on the upper floors. So I start with like some kind of floating box. Maybe I could lower it down. Then I page up and put another floating box somewhere in the sky. Then I might even do it again. Put another one up here, kind of have them all be different sizes. And I want it to end up looking like some sort of floating set of islands. There's not a staircase, there's not a ladder, there's no connection between them. So a regular sim can't get up here. If you click go here, they aren't gonna be able to make it up. But you can instantly fly up here. So if you've got a fairy, they can pretty easily make it between the different floors. The only thing that's kind of annoying about it is like, say you decorate this one as their bedroom and maybe somehow this one is like their office. The big thing is that your sims can't get between the floors on their own. So if you just click go here or fly here, it won't work. Even if I come try to relax on the bed, he won't be able to get there. You have to click instantly fly first. That'll teleport him and then he can sleep in the bed. So you just have to micromanage their lives a little bit more if you're gonna play in a house like this. But I kind of think it's worth it just because it looks so cool. Also, you can't really have pets in a house like this because they can't get around that way. Babies don't really work in a house like this because the babies and toddlers can't fly. If you want to have guests, they're not getting up to the top floors either, but I think it's kind of worth it just because of how cool it is. So with that being said, let's dive into the speed build and I'll show you how I made this. So the whole concept here was to have 4 different floating islands with each of them being different rooms in the Sims house. So like one island's the bedroom, one island is the office, we've got a living room space, and I'm not gonna put a roof on them either. So I should warn you, this is also not really great if you've got seasons. You're gonna be kind of going through it when it like rains or snows. I'm building this right now in Spruceberry Grove, so it's affected by weather, but if you were to build one like this in the fairy neighborhood, there is no weather over there. It won't ever rain in the fairy area. So you could avoid that a little bit if you lived there instead. And at first, I thought I was gonna have only a floating house. I wasn't gonna put anything on the ground floor, but then I had been doing a lot of playtesting because I played in a house like this for my whole first playthrough of the pack. I streamed in a house like this for like 12 hours. So I kind of know what was working and what wasn't. And I ended up having a baby. And so I needed to have a space on the ground for the baby. And so in this house, I decided to put a sunken basement and like kind of have a secret basement entrance underground. So there isn't anything on the main level. It's all either in the sky or down below. I've got something on the main level right now, but I end up getting rid of it and changing it out instead. We're also going to do a lot of landscaping. There's going to be plants everywhere, both on the ground and in the sky. Honestly, like half this video is going to be me landscaping the place because there's really not that much furniture. Like the amount of space that is actual house is not very big. At least it wasn't at first. The underground area kind of ends up being like a fully functional apartment. It's got a bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom. So that way you could use all that for Sims that cannot fly. Your guests could go in there, but we'll get to that later on. I'm kind of just starting with the basement part. I'm putting like the sunken area and then also putting some rocks around it to try and hide the wall. This is the definition of a trust the process build because I feel like right now it looks really strange, but just trust me, once we get like all the plants floating around the outside, it's gonna look so cool in the end. But it's a really strange concept at first, so you just have to trust me. I used a lot of debug landscaping from Enchanted by Nature. Debug trees, debug flowers. I also put a lot of island living landscaping because I used the big low-lying bushes from island living to put basically everywhere. I was kind of trying to fill in the entire ground level with plants. Overall, this build doesn't have have that many packs. I didn't do like some 20 plus pack build, but it does have a handful of expansion packs. A lot of the packs that are sort of nature-y. So like the greenhouse pack, cottage living, island living, enchanted by nature. Those are the big ones here, but also a few other ones here and there, because you know how I am. I get a little bit carried away with my builds sometimes. But while I'm just kind of starting to figure out the landscaping here, I want to give you a little bit of a life update, because I just went on a trip to Seattle and I didn't even talk about it at all on YouTube yet. You might have seen me post about it on Instagram, or maybe like heard me talk about it on my Twitch stream, which by the way, I did live stream this build on Twitch first. This was the first build that I did when I got back from Seattle, but I did like all the touristy things. You know, I went to the Space Needle, all that kind of stuff, but I also went whale watching when I was in Seattle, and honestly, it was like the best day of my life. I have always dreamed of seeing an orca in real life, and we booked this like whale watching tour. I was kind of trying to manage my expectations a little bit because I didn't really know what to expect, and I didn't want to be sad if we didn't see much. So I went into it trying to play it super cool, just thinking like I'm gonna be happy no matter what happens. And they were telling us how like the day before on the tour they had to drive like an hour and 40 minutes up to Canada to see any whales, and it was like terrible weather, it was choppy, it was foggy, so you couldn't see much. Like it seemed like it was kind of a rough day the previous day. So I was kind of like, oh geez, like hopefully things are fine for us. I kid you not even like 20 minutes into us leaving the dock, we saw orcas. And because we found them so quickly, we got to stay with the orcas for like an hour and a half. There were 7 of them, and we just watched them like swimming around. They were hunting. Like it was, oh my God, it was the coolest thing ever. Basically, these whale watching tours, they all kind of know each other, and they're pretty strictly regulated because they're trying to make sure the whales are safe and like you're not getting too close and whatever. But they also all talk to each other. So like if somebody sees whales, they'll tell everyone just so that they're like keeping track of them, and also so that people can come and see them too. Well, we got to be the ones to tell everybody else like, hey, we see some orcas. So like they came and got there like an hour later after us. Oh, it was just amazing. The captain was joking like, well, we won because we saw them first. We also saw 3 humpback whales while we were out there. I mean, honestly, it was like the coolest day of my life. I was having the best time ever. And I know we got really lucky because we were able to see so many, also so close to home. I mean, home for them, not for me. I was a 6-hour plane ride away from home. But because the whales were so close to where the boat lives, we got to spend so much more time with them because we didn't have to spend a lot of travel time looking for them. So if you ever get a chance ever in your life to go whale watching, I would highly recommend. I know it is not really attainable for most people. Like I had to fly all the way to Seattle to do it, but I'm really glad that I went. I had an absolute blast doing that. I would go back. Like I would do that again in a heartbeat. So that's my big travel update. Right now, we're kind of decorating the outside part of the basement to try and make it blend in with the environment. So you can see I'm just putting plants everywhere to kind of try and make it look like it's a part of the ground. I used a lot of purple and yellow landscaping on this lot, both with like the purple stuff from this pack. I used some of the yellow flowers from Get Together. There's some debug flowers from this pack as well. I used the gnome doormat. That doormat was actually a reward event item from like Christmas time last year. So unfortunately, it's not able to be accessed anymore if you didn't play that event. So I always feel kind of bad using it, but it was just too good to pass up because it's like the gnome pack. So I had to use the gnome doormat. That's kind of the only thing really on this ground floor though. We have the basement access. I have some planters around the place, and I also have the pond, but I try not to really put any furniture or like any gameplay items down here. I do have a little gazebo thing because I wanted to have a place to sit if you had guests come over. And I also used the new outhouse from the reward event. That's the most recent event, which by the way is still on. If you're watching this video when I upload it, I think you still have a few days left to do the event. So I really recommend that you play through it just so you don't miss out on the items, because if you don't play it now, they're gonna go away forever. Most of them are just fine, but I used the rocks from the event in the pond, and I also used the outhouse here. So at least if you've got company, they can use the toilet. They've got access to a toilet on the ground floor. Oh, I do have 2 other life updates. One is happy, one is scary but has a happy ending. The first is that it's my kitten's gotcha day. 2 years ago, I found a bunch of kittens in a storm drain near my parents' house. 2 years ago exactly, actually. I had the mom and her 3 babies, and then I ended up adopting 2 of them, and my parents adopted the mom and the other baby. So all in this one day, my family got 4 more cats. But it's Trip and Sunny's gotcha day. They've been here for 2 years. I can't believe that, because in my mind, they're still the kittens, like the baby little kittens. But no, they're actually full-grown adult cats, and I've lived with them for 2 years now. Time seriously flies. They also grow so fast. Like I feel like they grew up so quickly. I think everybody has that experience with like their kids, their pets. But yeah, time flies. So happy gotcha day to the kittens. And the other one that I promise has a happy ending is that Snap had kind of a weird health scare recently. Snap is my other cat. She's 17 and she has been through it. Like she's had some health stuff going on, which, you know, makes sense. She's an elderly cat, but she had cancer about a year and a half ago. She had this like massive lump and huge surgery to remove it. It was a whole thing. It was actually kind of traumatizing for me and for her. So luckily she's been doing better from that. But like a month ago, she had this really scary looking lump pop up literally overnight. It was her birthday, and so I had done this like big photo shoot of her. Like I took loads of pictures with like a birthday hat on. And I mentioned that because I have loads of photos of her and like of that side of her body from the day before. And then I woke up the next morning and she had this like bright red lump and kind of a big bald spot on the side of her. Unfortunately, the same side that she had cancer on a couple years ago. So it really freaked me out. It literally like this angry red lump happened within 12 hours, right? So we kind of rushed her to the vet that day. They weren't really sure what it was. It looked a little bit infected, so they gave her like an antibiotic injection and wanted us to come back like a week and a half later and see if it like slowed down or if it was looking any better. They were like, maybe it's a cyst, maybe it's something worse, but we didn't want to like take a sample from it when it was so infected because it probably wouldn't have come back with anything useful. So we went back a couple weeks later, we like got samples from it, stuck a needle in it, sent it off to the lab for testing. Here I'm like super mega panicking because the last time this happened, we did the same thing and it was cancerous. So I was like not handling this well, I'm gonna be honest. Well, the vet called again like a week later with the results and it's not cancerous. It's probably just some kind of weird cyst that was like under her skin and popped and got infected. It was just kind of scary because it happened so quickly and like went from like nothing to being really bad looking, but it's healed up now. It's been a few weeks, so like it's looking a lot better and she's fine. It's not cancerous, so that was a huge relief. I know I talked about it a lot on my Twitch stream, but I can't remember if I mentioned it in a YouTube video or not. I feel like I didn't post that many speed builds recently because I was posting all that early access content from the pack and I usually yap in speed builds. So I feel like I don't bring that kind of stuff up in just like a regular build challenge or something. But anyway, I have been going through it because of that, but luckily everything is fine and like she's fine aside from her other stuff, but you know, whatever. She doesn't have cancer again, so that's good. I'm gonna go back to the build for a second because I have not addressed like anything about this build so far. We're starting to do the furnishing now because all of the downstairs is pretty much laid out. So the first thing I did was put a little bit of plants on that top floating area, and then I started to lay out some furniture there. I did think for a bit about maybe trying to put some rocks underneath it to make them look like they had rocks hanging down, but the rocks kind of looked weird. Those are Realm of Magic rocks and they kind of just didn't fit, so I didn't use them. But at the very end, I'm gonna put loads of plants around the perimeter of the floating parts and it looks pretty cool. So again, just trust the process. Right now, I'm putting some of those mushroom shelves from Enchanted by Nature on. I haven't used them in landscaping yet. It's literally just a wall shelf. Like it hangs up on your Sims wall, you can slot stuff to it, but it also looks like a mushroom. So I put some of the purple ones around, kind of like just tucked inside of the plants, so you can't really tell that it's a shelf. It has a flat side where it would usually go up against the wall, but if you hide the flat side, it looks like a fun magical purple mushroom. So I used that around here. And the first place that I furnished was the bedroom, if you want to call it that. I've got the really fancy canopy bed, there's a dresser, and I put those things on one of the platforms. I'm kind of jumping around a lot to do landscaping, but the other one that I just started working on is going to become a living room. So I've got some bookshelves there. Oh, I also even added in trees. I didn't know if the trees were too far, but I put some trees floating too. I kind of liked how it looked. It's like fun, more greenery and stuff, but hopefully you can kind of get a better idea of what I mean by floating bedroom here. So we've got the dresser. I did put some planter boxes in too, and also a couple of houseplants. I've had a lot better luck with houseplants ever since the pack has been out. As you know, I had a lot of issues with the houseplants being kind of glitchy in early access, but they fixed it with the pre-launch patch. Like they always do a patch on the day the pack comes out with expansions, and it's been fixed since that. So as long as the pack has been out, I don't think anyone who bought the pack has had problems. So that's good. But I feel more comfortable using houseplants now because of that. So I put a couple in here. On that floating living room area, we have the bookshelves, but I also put a fire pit there. I was kind of thinking like, what does the fairy actually need? They don't need a kitchen because they don't have to cook food, but a fire pit could be kind of a fun place to sit outside. I didn't want to put a computer because it can rain here and like the computer would break, the TV would break. So I didn't end up putting one of those. I think if I were to play in this house, I would probably allow myself to have a computer and TV, but like maybe put it in my household inventory when I wasn't using it and then like put it back, or get a laptop and like drag it in and out of your Sims inventory because that way you don't have to risk it breaking outside. This top floor, it's kind of weird. It's like a mixture of things. At first I was thinking it could be like the bathroom, and so I put the tub there, and then I was like, well, the Sim doesn't need a bathroom. room. It's a fairy, so why would I do that? So then I put a desk up there instead, and it kind of became like a skill building room. So there's like a weird bathtub tucked in the corner. There's a desk with the nature press item. There's a telescope. So it's just like all of the skills all together. And then this last one, kind of like the lowest floor, is all the apothecary stuff. So I have a couple more planter boxes with, I end up putting in some of the more useful plants for the apothecary skill, like a lemon and sage and, you know, some of those kind of things, the magical plants. And then we also have the apothecary storage cabinet and the apothecary table. So you've got a whole section just to use all that stuff. Then I kind of did a switcheroo of the dresser and put the dresser on the top floor and the desk in the bedroom. I don't know, I was kind of going back and forth on how I wanted that to be laid out, but that's pretty much the entire floating section. And now we're going into the basement to do the, I guess this is more like the house. This was a last minute decision and ends up being really big. So the house isn't actually entirely floating. There is a normal house down here too. But in here we have sort of like a big living space. You can see the kitchen already coming to shape. That's in the back corner. There's gonna be a living room in here. There's a bathroom and also the kids' bedroom. I also put some pet stuff, like some things for a dog, because I kind of wanted to have a pet. And of course the dog can't get up, so this way the dog can be in here. Your fairy sims don't even need to cook food, but this is presuming they have a child. The child will need to eat human food, at least temporarily, until they grow up. So I have a kitchen for them in here too. And then maybe if you wanted to, I mean, fairies can eat food. They don't get sick from it or anything. They also can use a toilet if they want to, but they just don't need to. They have no bladder need. So I guess if you were playing as a fairy and you wanted a kitchen, you could use that down here. Just there, I decided to put that really cool tree-shaped bookshelf, but it was kind of clipping with the ceiling of the basement. And so I adjusted the plants upstairs to cover the clipping so you couldn't tell as much. I don't really mind if stuff clips from the basement because I never really moved the camera low enough to tell that it's clipping out of the ceiling. So I was fine with that. And I love how the enchanted tree bookshelf looks, so I really wanted to use it. There are some things from this pack that I feel like are a little bit weird, and that's fine because they're weird in a good way for the style of the pack. But that bookshelf, that tree bookshelf, is one of my favorite things we've gotten in The Sims in ages. I really like it. I also put loads of plants on the walls, like across everywhere inside of this basement. I was really trying to embrace that whole greenery thing. I also can't remember if I put a toilet inside of this bathroom or not. It's possible that it's only the bathtub, because for a little bit I was like, they can just use the outhouse upstairs, and then I might have gone back and used the Enchanted by Nature toilet. It looks like I have it right now. I may or may not delete it, I can't remember. I also did put a toddler potty in here. I used the chamber pot style toddler potty that comes from For Rent, so I've got that in there too. And then I have the bedroom decorated for a toddler in this house. Also, for a second there, I had toilet paper, and then my Twitch chat was like, you don't need that, you have leaves. So I deleted the toilet paper and just left it instead. There is lore to this place, let me tell you. We've got all kinds of silly things going on. But you can kind of see that purple and green color scheme coming together inside of this place. I did put a TV on top of the fireplace. It's a little bit close to the fire. I like just raised it up so that you could watch it and have it kind of like slot to the shelf there. I have really been having fun with cluttering up that fireplace. At first I wasn't sure if I liked it because it had 4 shelves instead of like 1 mantle, and it was just kind of hard for me to think about what I would put on it. But actually that's so cute for decor because there's all these different places to put different sizes of decor. So I really like the fireplace now. So I've been enjoying using that. And then this bedroom unfortunately has no windows, which is a little bit sad. That's kind of a theme of this weekend. You'll see tomorrow I'm posting a video called Building a House with No Windows or something. I forget what I'm gonna say exactly. But it's okay because the bedroom is so magical and it's got all of this beautiful wallpaper. And when you think about it, well, you don't need windows because the entire house is outside otherwise. So the kid can just come up if they want to see outside. I used the little toddler bed from the pack. I used the canopy above it from the pack and just like some toys and stuff. And now we're kind of just going back through and putting in some last minute details. This is the fun part where all of the floating plants start to come together. So it's kind of weird because I have to put walls on and then slot the plants to the wall and then delete it. That's what I'm doing right now. But I'm using Jungle Adventure leafy stuff to hang off the sides and also some of the new wisteria stuff from Enchanted by Nature. And it really sells the whole floating plant island thing because I kind of want it to look like this whole thing is made of grass. That's sort of my vision for it. I have grass roof color. I painted the underside of it just with a grass texture, so if you're looking at it from down below, it looks like there's grass down below. Of course, it has that kind of pretty floral fence right there, and I have that like nice green mossy stone on the floor too. It was kind of a pain to place these plants back in because it's just weird shapes, right? So it was kind of weird to put it in, but once it's all together, I think it came together so nicely. We have a lot of hanging plants in this game now, but not so many that look like they're hanging down. A lot of the plants that we have, like this kind of plant, is growing up from the ground, so it was kind of hard to find things that looked like they were hanging down from it. But that's why this jungle adventure plant kind of carried. I wish we had a couple more things like that, but even with just these two, I think it totally works. And I will show you it a little bit more up close once the build is finished. We'll go back and do a tour at the end. Now we're gonna do some terrain paint, so I'll go back and add that pretty much everywhere. It's kind of funny because it feels like the entire build has just been a landscaping speed build. Because even when I put the bed down, the bed is covered in plants, so that kind of felt like it was landscaping still. But this terrain paint is one of the last touches. I have one final thing that was a little bit out there, so you might hate it, but I think it kind of tied everything together. In Realm of Magic, there are these little glowing orbs in Debug, and I used to, back in the day, pre-fairies, pretend that they were like little glowing fairy orbs. Well, I went through and I used those and I kind of like raised them up and down a bunch of different heights at nighttime, almost like a light outside at night. At first, they're really big and it's kind of shocking. So I apologize for that. That's because I didn't think you could size them down. I just assumed you couldn't. Turns out you can. So at the end, I size them down and they become tiny and then it looks even cuter. I just kind of figured you wouldn't be able to size them down because usually things like this with like glow or lighting, it reminds me of the fountains, how you can't size down the fountains because they're animated. So you can size down the basin of it, but the water will stay the same size. Or like a candle, you can size down the wax part of the candle, but the flame's gonna stay the same place and the same size. I thought that these would do that, but they don't because they don't actually animate or anything. They just look glowy. So I put them around and I was kind of like, ooh, maybe it's too much. I don't know. I also added some lights. These lights are like the cool, funky, floaty mushroom lights from the new pack. I put those around so it like brightens up the rooms. And I think that having a floating magical light makes sense because it's a floating magical house. So it kind of checks out. And then this is me going back in and sizing down those orbs and it looks way better, right? Yeah, I know. It's not as scary anymore. So I sized them all down a few times and that's pretty much the entire build. So that's everything. What I want to do now is go back into the game and give you a tour because I yapped a lot, I sped up a lot, so it's kind of hard to see everything. I want to show you around in like real-time speed. So we're just up here on this 30 by 20 lot that usually has a starter home and in a screen. If you're looking for it on the gallery, it's called Floating Fairy House. It looks kind of weird from the gallery preview photo. It's kind of just like this mass of landscaping, basically. This is how many packs it uses. Kind of just one page when you think about it, because it counts Enchanted by Nature twice, because one of them is the early purchase item. And it's a lot of random things like one pet bowl that looks like a tree trunk from my first pet stuff. So you don't need to have a lot of these packs, but if you do, it works. And I have to cheat for money real quick. Hold on. It's 85,000 simoleons, which is pretty bad considering there's no walls. A lot of the house is like non-existent, but this is what the finished product looks like. I did add a couple of things that I didn't record, like some plants. So we have things like a crystal tree and various different plants that you can use when you're trying to do the apothecary skill. But I'm gonna go into live mode so I can like really show you around everything. I can also let it be unpaused so you can see the VFX because I put things like ducks and dragonflies and fireflies everywhere. So on this ground floor over here, this is like the grill and the dinner table in case you wanted to have a party and invite people over. What are you mad about? Oh, the moody shrub. Fair enough. Over here are all of those magical plants. I put these a couple times so you'd have a lot of them. There's some more plants back here in this corner. All the way back this way in like the far left corner of the lot is the outhouse. So you can woohoo in here and you can also like use the bathroom over here if you want to. This pond is safe for fishing if you'd like to do that. And one thing I kind of love is that when you're looking at it straight on, you can't really see the basement, but it's right through here. We have this nice staircase. It looks like my Sim's already in there. We're reading, we're browsing books, but there's a dog bowl. We have some dog toys. There's a fully functional kitchen. We have the living room. I didn't put any rugs in here. I thought about it. I tried a couple, but I just kind of liked the stone floor instead. Then we have that little tiny toddler room back here that I was telling you about. And lastly, lastly, we have the bathroom. So, oh, I did keep the toilet. Great. So there's 2 toilets on this lot, but it's a very small basement. It's just got the necessities in there. The cool part starts when you start coming upstairs. So let's start with this one. This is the first level. You can see some of the floating, which is okay. And if you wanted to use this, you have to instantly fly. That's the only way to get up here. But everything is functional. So like you can study apothecary cures, you can harvest these plants. This is like the apothecary floor. Then you can come up the next level and you can go to bed up here, but you do have to instantly fly. Like I was telling you, if I just click sleep, he wouldn't be able to do it. He's got to fly and then go to sleep. Oh, you can see the fireflies coming out now too. He's got a desk right here. And this is what I meant where I would maybe buy him a laptop because sometimes you need computers in this game. I just wouldn't leave it outside because of the rain. I would just like put it in his inventory and then put it back if you played here, just as like a tip. But this room also has a mirror. He's got clothes on display. Then you can go upstairs again. This is where the living room is. The lights are starting to come on so you can see a bit better what it looks like at actual nighttime. I left a couple of planter boxes empty in case you wanted to plant your own plants up here. We've got some bookshelves, there's chests, and then of course we have the fire pit. Same thing, you just instantly fly and then like light the fire pit. If there is a fire up here, the firefighters cannot get to it. So that's gonna be on you to fix, just warning you. And then the last room's on the same level. This is like the bathroom, some might say. So there's a dresser, there's a bathtub, a telescope for some reason, and also some more empty planter boxes. I wanted these in here because I felt like your fairies can bathe in plants, so it kind of made sense to be up here. So they've got places to put stuff there. But that's the entire lot. So I know it's a little bit weird. It's kind of an out there concept, but I had so much fun building this and like imagining the floaty, cool fairy house. And it is playable. It's totally functional. It just, you know, again, needs some effort if you're gonna play in it. When I played in mine, because I've built 2 of these that are kind of similar now. When I played in the other one, I kept forgetting and I'd like have my sim click sleep and then they wouldn't do it and I'd be like, oh, my bad, let me teleport you first. But again, I think it's worth it because like how cool. Cut to it raining. This is what it's gonna be like if it rains. Slightly unpleasant, but your sim probably loves the outdoors if they live here, right? That's why you live out here, so they probably enjoy it. Right? We can just keep telling ourselves that. Anyway, I think on that note, I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. Like I said, it's on the gallery in case you want to download this lot. And I also built this live on my Twitch channel, so you can follow me there if you want to watch me do this kind of thing real time. I stream pretty much every single day, although this weekend I'm at a funeral, so I won't be live today when I'm posting this. We're calling it a party. It's my grandma's party. Her celebration of life is a better word. Her favorite color is purple. She's like actually obsessed. She would only wear purple. Literally the only thing she ever wore. Purple hat, purple shirt, like always, every single day. This is kind of a nod to that a little bit. It's the purple everywhere. I know it's silly, but it makes me feel better. I don't know. She would not have a clue what was going on in this video if she were to watch this. She knew that I made Sims videos on YouTube, but I'm not sure she knew what that meant. Like, I don't think she knew what a video game really was. She also thought that I worked for YouTube and that I had a show. This is like my television show on the YouTube network. But like, fair enough. She was almost 90. That's very confusing, so I get it. See, we're reframing it. Happy memories. But anyway, bear with me this weekend because my videos might be weird. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit weird today about it all, so thank you for your patience. In the comments down below, let me know, what do your grandparents think about The Sims, the internet? Would they understand this? Are they tech savvy? I'm always so curious about that because some people's grandparents are like super into it all. Like my other grandma, she is not very tech savvy, but she does watch my YouTube videos. She's got her little iPad mini and we have a shortcut that just goes straight to my YouTube channel so she can access it. So how are your grandparents? Let us know down below. This is a very random conversation to have. But with that, I will stop yapping and I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Oh, this is like the yappiest build that I've posted in weeks. I was just talking about everything in this video. We have been through an emotional roller coaster in the past 20 minutes.